So now you blow my mind a year later, right? Now actually seeing that come to fruition. And what am I doing? Why didn't I listen to Victor? What's going on, everyone? In today's video, you are in for a treat because we have brought back the man, the myth, the legend, Victor Gallegos. We're interviewing him for what seems like the bajillionth time. Every time we interview him, I just get more and more mind blown. And what's so cool about today's interview is we're actually going to kind of rewind time, go back into the past, and look at some of the books Victor had recommended that we should have bought. And then now, a year and a half, getting close to 2 years later, see how those books actually perform. So before we get into it, man, what's going on, Victor?
Hey, Joji, anytime I can officially come back on your channel and talk about books, I am all for it. Whenever you give me the opportunity, I just love it. And especially when when we don't have to talk about IP complaints or counterfeit complaints, and literally just talk about books. Oh, I'm just excited to do this video, and especially now I know that I'm gonna like be tested on the books that I showed a year and a half ago. Yeah, I'm all for it. So let's do it.
I'm over here on my YouTube channel, Victor. I mean, it's clear that there's tons of videos of me and you, but this is the first video. He's flipping Christmas books and making bank. 1 year ago, 2.8K unique views. That means well over 2,000 people have viewed that video, have seen all the books you gave away, brought you back for a part two and a part three. But I think what we should do is just look at some of the Christmas books that you had showed us in that first interview. So I guess what I'm saying is one, if you have no idea who Victor is, make sure you go watch those videos because they're incredibly valuable. He is somebody who really just opened my eyes and everyone else's eyes to seasonal Christmas books. And this was one of them. Victor here, the first Christmas. So I interviewed you, I think back in April of 2023. This is one of the books we went over.
Yeah.
And so
I think it's good to kind of talk about when we first talked about seasonal books. What did you think I was, or what did you think I was a like? What was I trying to sell basically to people?
I don't know, honestly. I just I knew at that time of seasonal books in the form of college textbooks, but didn't expand my horizon or think beyond that. And so when I thought of see other seasonal books, I honestly just thought you meant college textbooks. And so then when we got in, you're like, no, I mean like Christmas and other topics. I was like, okay, yeah, yeah. So maybe he makes like five or seven or $10 off of like one or two books. I don't know. But when I saw and dove into and how many like Christmas books there and other seasonal books, I'm just literally mind blown. It's kind of insane.
Yeah, so, I mean, I remember that, and you had talked to me about, Let's look at these books that you say are great. Let's look at some Christmas books." And I remember some of these were the first time you ever looked at them, and, this first Christmas book I remember pulling up as just one of the 500 books I was tracking. It wasn't like a special book to me. I just knew
Yeah.
that this was one of the Christmas books I would let's showcase it, and I remember looking at it with you and you thinking, "Oh my gosh, this book is in demand every Christmas, and
Yeah.
every time besides that, it really dies off, and that's what I really do here. I buy books when they're not in demand and then sell them when they are in demand, and I just remember we looked at a Keepa chart very similar to this, where
Yeah.
every Christmas, it's repeating that same exact pattern. Yeah, and then, I we still got a lot of questions like, "But how do I know it's gonna happen again this year?"
Yeah, I know, right? I don't know what's gonna happen years ago. I mean, let's actually look at it. You could have bought this book when we aired that interview, which was in April of 2023,
Yeah.
right around this time period. Some people I think did buy it. The price kind of went up for a while. Then it came back down. So you could have bought it from there to there. And then look what happened to it. It just went straight up. Offer count went all the way down to zero, Victor.
Yeah.
Went down to zero. So that means everyone sold out. And then after Christmas was over, just like you taught us, Victor, in February, March, April, May, June, July, people stopped thinking about Christmas apparently.
Yeah.
Nobody wants that book. And then so the question is, we gave this away to what, 2,500 people, or you gave it away to 2,500 people,
Yep.
and it performed well that year. Everyone sold out. Anyone who bought it sold out.
Right.
And then the question is, okay, well, maybe that was a fluke. And so look what happened. You could have bought it any point here. And now look where we're at in offer count right now on December 9th of this year. We're literally an offer count of two, Victor. Two, two. It's like two people.
I think we're probably gonna get back to 0 probably tomorrow. But yeah, it's just crazy that these books continue to repeat its historic patterns over and over and over again. You just have to, like, depend on the data. It's not like I'm some, like, type of, like, wizard or something, or like I
I
could
think you're no, I think you're a wizard, Victor. I think you're a wizard. 'Cause look at this, that year, that'd have been at the end of 2020, the end of 2021, the end of
Yeah,
2022, the end of 2023,
yeah.
the end of 2024. I don't know, Victor. You always tell me this, but you don't think they're I don't they're think they're canceling Christmas next year. I think that's gonna come again.
It looked like it performed really well again this year, and I see no reason why it wouldn't happen again the year after, right? So,
Yeah.
if you're just seeing this, this is a great entry point for you. Buy this book. It was published in 1984. Don't you think that, like,
1984.
it's gonna repeat the same trend again next year? So,
Yeah.
track this book starting in March next year. Buy this book and be ready for Christmas
Yeah.
because, as you can see, it sells out. And
Literally sells
that
out.
that's all we did with this that's all I talked to you about on the first, video was that these books just continue to do the same pattern, and all you have to do is just believe in the data,
Yeah.
and that's this book did. So that's awesome. That's a
Yeah.
great, first book that I showed.
Yeah, and you can track the product if you're unfamiliar. On the Keeper Graph, there's a little button called Track Product. You can go ahead and just put in a use price. So I looks like I'm tracking for 11. You could track for 15. You just kind of make it a target buy price and a target selling price, and you can track the book there. The other cool thing about this, Victor, is that it came out in 1984. I mean, would we be as worried about this book, being counterfeited or an IP complaint? I mean, not
No.
really. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
not
a book from 1984.
before we're not worried about counterfeit complaints of a
Yeah.
1984 book. Yeah.
Yeah, but the good thing is though, Victor, if you did buy it on Amazon, or if you do buy it on Amazon, you have an Amazon order ID, and if you have an Amazon order ID, you can just essentially give that to Amazon if you ever get called out, if you have
IP
any
complaint.
problems.
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly, and get that, taken care of. You're actually throwing
All
it.
right. Well, here's another book that we went over. I Heard the Bells on Christmas Day. A little bit newer of a book, 2009. And what are you seeing in the last 3 months of this book, Victor?
It had that same typical Christmas pattern where the price is down at $10 and now it's almost at 40, which is
Yeah.
again. So when I showcase books or when I talk about books, I actually already priced in the people who could see this book and buy it.
Yeah.
So I know there's going to be at least 30, 40 people buying it, and if I'm going to showcase the book, I have to also believe that 30 or 40, 30 to 40 more people are going to buy this book. Will it affect the price?
Yeah.
And the books that I'm showing, as you can see, it didn't. It's still popped off in Christmas as it did every other year.
Yep. Now this book is down to 6. There's only 6 people on the list. I actually did buy this book. And if you look at the order on this one, looks like we bought it for $15.03. And I believe I sold it for right around 40 bucks. So let's see how 39.99 a week ago. 39.99 sold the book. So we're looking at what is that? $9.20 profit, 60% ROI with no work needed. I've never even opened this book, Victor, because
Yeah.
it went right to a prep center. Prep center shipped it to Amazon, and then now it's gonna be shipped to the customer, and all the fees are basically
Yeah, that's already
yeah,
included with all the fees, right?
right.
That's $9 profit after all the fees.
And that's just one copy. And obviously I could have bought multiple copies. And you can see how incredibly popular this book is just since November. The offer count went from 30 all the way down to about 6. So just incredible demand every single year. And again, this is a book you gave away in that video. Like
Yeah.
this in this video, Victor, we talked
Yep.
about that book where over 2,000 people watched that video. Over 2,000 people could have bought this book. And
I remember playing this up like it plays in my head sometimes, Joji, where we're literally seeing a graph, this graph on here. And I remember you asking me, all right, so you see this graph here. All right, Victor, what is your plan? I just remember you asking me, what is your plan for a book like this? And I tried my best to take you seriously. And it told you, all right, so buy the book when it's down. Yeah, when it's there in April, May, and June, and then you sell it when it's up there. And then they do that same thing again, and then do the same thing again. And it just keeps happening every year. And it's just plain as day for me to see, right?
Yep. Sales rank goes incredibly low. So those are just a few of the Christmas books that we had given away. And yeah, I mean, those have done incredibly well. I mean, Christmas books, not just for me, but a lot of people in your Facebook group, which, by the way, if you're not part of Victor's Facebook group, it's a seasonal
Book
online book
arbitrage.
arbitrage Facebook group. We'll link it down below in the YouTube description so that you guys can join. It's free to join. I think Victor does have to approve you before you just are let in. But essentially, he'll let you in if he thinks you're an actual real person. You just want to learn how to sell books. It's completely free, Victor, right?
Yeah, I don't actually weed out anybody unless I think you are trying to scam people. Like, if you're trying to just post a ton of scam material, then yeah, I'm not gonna let you on to the page, but besides that, yeah, if you're just a normal person, you're definitely in.
Now, one of the books that you gave away,
Yeah.
because you also talked about high school books, and there's a video on our channel where we talked about he's the king of seasonal book arbitrage, where we actually talked about high school books specifically, and we again showed the proof how we had given away certain books there. You had given away certain books, and
Yep.
despite 1.6 thousand views on that video, still did incredibly well and made a lot of money. But one of the types of books that you talk about at the time, I didn't really appreciate because I didn't really understand this sort of pattern would work for a book. So, can you kinda give us a little bit of background about why this particular book's so special?
Yeah, so it's almost like I was nerding out when I talked to you, right? And I wanted to showcase this book because I know that nobody's even, like, thinking about it or tracking these type of books, and there's a lot of profit in books that if you can predict patterns based on editions, right? So this book has a very similar pattern based on newer editions coming out. So when a new edition comes out, the old edition spikes, and it's done this. Well, I've seen it since edition 18. So edition
Yeah,
18, it had a very similar spike where, hey, the 18th edition went out of stock because the
right.
19th edition came, just was published, and then it started to spike double in price, and then it happened in the 19th edition, the 20th edition, 20, like, so we were on the 21st edition, and you would ask me, Victor, what are some of the books that you track? And so I really wanted to, like, nerd out, like geek out on this book, and I showcased it to you, and I remember it kind of just, I felt like it was a dud. Like, I told it to you and you were like, okay, yeah. All right, so let's go into but I really wanted to show this because there's a lot of profit to be made if you're able to understand that there are patterns in editions that happen. So this particular book, I guess, we're on the 22nd edition, and I knew this was going to happen on the 21st edition once the 22nd edition came out.
Which
So I found a pattern in the 22nd edition after, say, a year and a half of the new edition coming out, the old edition will go out of stock and then double in price. So that's all I said in your video, or in our video together, was, "Hey, we're close. I don't know how close we are, but within the next 6 months to a year, I know it sounds kind of crazy, but 6 months to a year, you will be able to double your money with this book." And lo and behold, here's the book. It went out of stock as planned, and it is on its way up. When I bought this book, I bought it for $97, right?
Uh-huh.
And I showcased it to everybody. I literally told you to buy it. I told everyone that will watch the video to buy it. Bought it for $97. I bought 40 copies, and I already sold out. And of course, I regret that I didn't buy more, right?
Yeah.
Because I had the data. I'm the one who was trying to convince everyone else I should have even bought more than the 40 copies, because I believe this book is going up to $400. Like, we can check again here in, 6 months, something like that. This book will continue to go up because Amazon's going to not come back into stock, because it never has gone back into stock in the older editions. Once it's out of stock, it leaves it and goes to the newer edition. So we have a newer edition out there, right? So we have the 22nd edition. So if you're still in the book business, say in 2020, 2026, I'm guessing, buy the new edition for the 22nd edition, because it's going to also double in price.
So, I think you said you had bought them for 97, right?
Yeah,
And you sold
I
for
can tell.
220.
Yeah,
So, at that and you bought 40 copies. That's
40,
40 copies.
40 copies.
And again, you didn't store this at your house or in a storage unit. You literally just sent them to your prep center, right? And then they sent
That's
them
it.
to Amazon, right?
Right.
So you bought 40 copies at $97 and you sold them all for 220. I think is what you said?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So you made a 77% ROI in each book. So
Yep.
essentially $75 profit times 40. So you made about $3,000 off of just this one book. And again, you gave it away to over 2,000 people. And I might be, sad to say, I didn't even buy a copy, Victor. Should have, I didn't even buy a copy.
I didn't even know you didn't buy a copy. I was like, Joji, this is a book. I mean, it's like investing in gold. One day gold's going to keep going up in price. This is, to me, was a no brainer, right?
Okay.
It's happened for the last 3 books of this particular edition, and I just knew it was going to happen again. And it did. You can showcase.
So if you're not following essentially what is so unique about this particular book, which I guess there's more than just this book that has a pattern like this, but
Yeah.
what's so unique about this type of book is that when you think of a new edition for a college book coming out, you think that the old edition tanks in price because you're like, oh, okay, new edition, everyone's just gonna buy the new edition. That old book is now old news, nobody wants it, price goes down. But you found the reverse trend, which is
Right.
that, hey, when this book is no longer being sold by Amazon because a new edition comes out.
Yeah.
The old edition is now going to spike because Amazon's no longer selling that book in new
Right.
condition. And so, why would a modern refrigeration book, why would that, Victor, if it's now an older edition, why would its price go up though?
Yeah. So the older edition books, the air conditioning books, are showcasing or talking about the older air conditioners. So if you have an air conditioner in your house, more than likely those are the older air conditioners.
Right.
So if you're trying to fix an older air conditioner, you need the older book. And so
Mhm.
now these books actually become much more popular the older they get because those are the ones that break. The newer editions aren't as popular because, again, those haven't broken down yet, and so no one needs to fix those yet. And so that's why this particular trend is the opposite of most college textbooks. And if and when you find these type of books, they're awesome. Of course, it doesn't happen, every few months or something like that. But when you do, you want to make sure you track it and kind of just like invest into it, basically, because I knew this was going to happen. I just didn't know the exact date, but I knew it was going to happen. I told my group, I think some people did jump on it and ended up buying and doubling their money. So I'm happy that some people took advantage of that. And yeah, basically, if you're just like coming into this video and this is the first time you've seen this book, go and buy the 22nd edition probably next year sometime. I'm thinking that that pattern will again happen for the next book.
Yeah, so let's take a look at it. This is the 19th edition, and again, you said you discovered it with the 18th edition, so you could even go back to the 18th edition as well.
Yeah,
Same title, same authors.
right.
So this is the 19th edition. When Amazon was selling it, it was about $105. As soon as it went out of stock, used price jumped up to the 130s, the 140s, the 160s, to the 180s, the 190s. At some point, years later, is up into the 250s, so double the MSRP. And even till this day, it's still selling above like double MSRP, like in the 250s up to $300, right?
Yeah. By the way, I still sell that book. I still sell that $300 book. Yep.
And that's the 19th edition. So then the 20th edition,
Yeah.
same sort of pattern, right? Amazon was selling it brand new for 120. As soon as it went out of stock because the newer edition came out, it immediately spiked into literally the 3 and 400s. Amazon would come back in stock and literally be out in like a second because I guess the just demand on this book was so high. So it's a book that's again selling for double, triple retail, and even to this day is at $189. So it's significantly above the MSRP. And you can even see how this book just dropped in price. Actually, I think today down to $99 and immediately sold out and went right back up to 189. So again, a book that you could still be tracking to this day. And then we get to the book that Victor told us to buy,
Yeah.
and he told us to buy this as so. I think you had said in April 2023, which is when I
Yeah.
interviewed you,
Yeah.
you had said probably within, I think you said 6 months to a year and a half, something like
Yeah.
that. This book is going to get out of stock,
Yep.
and then its price is going to go up. And you said you bought copies at 97. So I'm assuming you bought them actually
Yep.
recently,
Yes.
few months ago. So you decided, I think under 100, I think is what you told me. Like if you can get this book for anything under 100, buy it. And so you bought 40 copies at that time.
Yeah.
And literally a couple months after buying it, exactly what you said, Amazon went out of stock, and you can see the price went way up to like 220. So it's not just like some willy nilly, like I just am hoping for this. Is like you've seen this pattern over multiple cycles of this particular book. And that's why you're saying, hey, look, this is the new edition. It's still being sold brand new from Amazon, and so what's your recommendation for now the 22nd edition of this book?
So the 22nd edition, when you find that the 23rd edition is out, you're within 6 months to a year of the 23rd edition to go out of stock. And so basically just track this book until you find the new edition coming out and then wait about 6 months and then buy as many copies as you probably can and probably can afford because again, this book is going to double in price once Amazon goes out of stock.
Yeah, absolutely crazy. So, I mean, Christmas books, Victor, blew my mind.
Yeah.
You blew you didn't really blow my mind with the air conditioning book at that time because I didn't understand it.
Yeah.
I did not, so my mind couldn't have been blown yet. Was kind of like, "Oh, okay, that's cool." I don't know if I don't know about that. So now you blow my mind a year later, right? Now actually seeing that come to fruition. And what I hear everyone is like, Victor comes from a government position where his sole job was to use data to predict outcomes.
Uh,
So like nothing you did in the government.
right.
Like your job was use data to predict outcomes. And this is what we're doing here. Use data to predict outcomes of books. And that's why your seasonal Facebook group is so awesome. That's why BookMine, the software that we created, is so awesome is
Yeah.
because it's the same exact thing. It's use data that you have to predict outcomes, and it's not like you can be right 100% of the time, but you don't need to be right 100% of the time. You're
Yeah.
right 75, 75, 80% of the time. I mean, you're killing it.
Yeah, because am I like being right on that book? It's not being right by 5%. I didn't buy the book for $97 and sell it for 105, right?
Yeah,
I bought it for 97 and sold it for 220. That's a home run. And when you're able to make those type of like ROI and on those type of books, you can be wrong a ton of times and still make a ton of profit off a book. Yeah. No.
exactly. And this has me thinking, Victor.
Yeah.
See, you've given to us all this, secret sauce.
Yeah.
You've given us Christmas. You've given us this air conditioning book. So I want to know, what else do you have up your sleeve? Is there anything else that you could right now give to us in 2024 in December, which people can then come back and watch a year or two later and go, "Dang it, should listen to Victor."
Well, I mean, first off, that go buy that or go track that AC book, right? Because that book is going to be money in a couple of years from now. But besides that, also our like a president who is we have a president who is close to passing away. He's pretty old right now, Jimmy Carter. All of his books are like dirt cheap right now, right? So I would go definitely go check out those books and buy as many of those copies as possible because we're within, I'm guessing, I don't know, I don't like to predict somebody's passing away, but he's 100 years old, so I mean, we can just say he's definitely not living to 105, right?
Yeah.
So, somewhere in between now and 6 months or now, probably that's gonna happen, and all of those books are gonna spike in price. We're talking about buying for a couple of dollars and then selling for 40 to $60. So, that's definitely a good one there. Warren Buffett's also getting kind of older. So, things like that also are great fun things to track and to buy on. But it's not, I don't make most of my money on that, but these are fun extra things to do.
Yeah, and so, again, it's not like we're excited about wishing someone's passing. All we're saying is always be aware of the opportunity that comes with things that are going on in the world. And so Jimmy Carter, right? 100 years old. I mean, there's actually, I was surprised at how many books there are that I think he's written or books that are about him. And specifically, we're looking for books that Amazon isn't, selling or isn't able to be there to basically keep prices really low. But there's a couple that we already kind of looked at that potentially could be amazing buys. So here's a book right here, Always a Reckoning and Other Poems, 1994. You can even see in 2021, something had happened in January. I'm not exactly sure, but African went from 85 down to 2. The sales rank went from, 400,000 Victor to 6,000. So
Yeah.
literally everyone just saw off this listing, and then it was selling in like the 40s and 50s, like you just mentioned.
Right.
And you can see there's been other large swings in offer count where
Yeah. So this is actually a really great example because like, say he turned 100 in October, right? And you can already see that there was a lot of, sales happening right then. The
right,
the the sales rank went down, the used offer count went down, the prices actually moved up, and that was just him turning 100.
yeah.
So, imagine what would happen next, and, I just think that, books like this, buy for 8, again, sell for 40, $50, and if I was you, I'd buy at least 4 or 5 copies of most of these books that have, trends like that.
This is another one that we found, Turning Point, 1992. And we actually just see, I mean, look at that huge dive in offer count,
Yeah.
60 down to 13. That was again for his birthday, right?
Right, just his birthday. He turned 100.
And it's not like the prices went up to 40 yet. It went up to like 17, $20. But, what's going to happen when when he does eventually pass and nobody's selling the book? Well, you can charge whatever you want. And that's the thing is like, if you're still in stock and you got 4 or 5 copies and everybody wants this book because they want to remember Jimmy Carter and there's nobody on the listing. Well, again, what's going to happen? Well, you already have precedent that the price is going to go significantly higher. And what's interesting is you already see like a long term trend downward, Victor,
Yeah.
of like would use the offer count on a book like this. So that one was
Oh,
really
yeah, I predict this book is going to sell out no matter how many, copies there is by, within the next 6 months, this book will sell out.
and then here's another one that we found, Outdoor Journal, again, just
Yeah.
kind of long, overall long-term line of best fit just going down. It's even already in the buy box in the 30s. And so I think that's the next play. And I think you even predicted Charlie Munger too, right? Because
Yeah, I did. I predicted Charlie Munger. He's friends with Warren Buffett. He was 99 years old and he passed away. And then his book, I took advantage of that book. I bought like 5, 6 copies, and I just remember making a huge ROI on that. Even Queen Elizabeth. And on this particular book, I wasn't actually trying to take advantage of her passing, but I think it's like every November. I don't know. I'm not from England, but she has like a jubilee in like November, December, and her books usually spike in price during that point. So I was just taking advantage of that particular point. And then she ended up passing away, and her books spiked in price.
yeah. This is the Charlie Munger book that we just talked about.
Yeah.
And the reason why I'm talking about Charlie Munger is because the fact that Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger are often talked about together as
Yes.
great two great investors of our time that I think are I know I know that Warren Buffett's certainly a billionaire. I'm pretty sure Charlie Munger is also a billionaire.
Yeah, they both are. Yeah, they both are, and they both, own that, what is it?
Berkshire Hathaway, is that
Or yeah, Hathaway,
yeah.
yeah. Yeah,
But this is what happened when he passed. The sales rank went from 800,000 down to 17,000. The offer count went from 30 all the way down to 1.
yeah.
And then there were sales at like 150 bucks. So I think that's what you had said, right? You bought it. It was already a book that held some pretty good value as well. I mean, in the past, it already had a track record of selling for a lot of money. So
Yeah.
you knew that this book was just gonna do
It was primed. Yep. I bought like 5 copies of it.
yeah.
Yeah.
And wow, just another book that did incredibly well. So we'll see how those stand the test of time, especially with Jimmy Carter, because again, it is unfortunately just a matter of time. As it is just a matter of time for everyone. Anyone who's ever born, it's just a matter of time. But I think there's just gonna I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how this video ages. But the reason why I wanted to bring you back on, Victor, is just to say that wow, the stuff that you teach really does work. You can share it to thousands of people, and either those thousands of people are not taking action, or they don't believe us, or they just think that if we tell everyone, everything's gonna tank and nothing works out. But I mean, there's proof.
It still works, and these Christmas books continue to do well. That AC book did really well. It's gonna do even better in, like, a couple of months from now. I think it's probably gonna get in the $250, $300 range. Jimmy Carter, that's definitely gonna, work out well. Things like that, like, it's again, I'm not, a wizard. I'm just going off of data, and with data behind you, you can really make these predictions.
Yep, sounds good. So, with that said, if you do want to join Victor's free Facebook group, you can do so by going to the link down below in the description box. If you do want to trial Bookmine for free for 10 days, we also have that link down below. And I think this is just an awesome time bringing you on again for I don't know if this is the fourth or fifth interview,
I think we lost count, but
but I really just had to bring you on when you showed me the screenshot of how much money you made from that refrigeration book because I was just like, what am I doing? Why didn't I listen to Victor? And that's what I'm telling you all. Why don't you listen to Victor, everyone. Listen to Victor, okay? So, anyways, hope you all enjoyed the video. And any parting words?
I just appreciate you having me on, and, let's keep buying books.
Yeah. All right, guys. We'll see you. Peace.
Alright.